Шановні журналісти, ми
Respected journalists, we continue our press briefing series, and now we'll talk about overcoming information blockade on the territories temporarily occupied. We'll have Anton Krut, Davydenko, head of NGO Media View, head of drafting group information leaflets Mir in Donbass, and Anastasia Maznychenko, editor of informational leaflets Peace in Donbass, and Tetyana Brodnikova, also from Peace in Donbass. Dear guests, welcome. Can you hear me well? My name is Köster from German Embassy. I'm very glad to be at this conference and presentation of the work of this project. As you know, Germany always tries to support and promote development of independent and free press and mass media. And in this way, we would like to help strengthening plurality and democracy, to help form civil society in Ukraine and countries of Eastern Partnership. In this way, we also would like facilitate dialogue and cooperation between actors and participants in this domain, between the peoples of public partnership. In this essence, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Germany just this year, in 2015, has issued 12 million euros for different projects in this domain in the countries of Eastern Partnership. 7 million euros towards the projects where Ukraine is one of partnership countries, and 5 million euros to projects where Ukraine is exclusive partner. So we are talking about 180 different projects, and that means 71 projects that fall to Ukraine. Our purpose, the purpose of German government, to give press and media opportunity to develop and express freely, independent of pressures and interference, and to give opportunity to population to have neutral information, and this way to create counter opposition to all kinds of propaganda. And one of those projects that Germany has supported is a project called Overcoming Information Blockades in Occupied Territories. That is done by Ukraine Crisis Media Center, together with two NGOs, Media View and AntiCrisis Center. And this project is is focused on Peace in Donbass, a newspaper that is done through journalists to offer good information to local population, providing them with live important information. And this project helps reaching the goals that I just mentioned. We are very glad and thankful that with some quite small resources we have been able to complete such good and praiseworthy initiative. I just read several copies of this newspaper and I see that this is full success, and I believe that this is information that population needs in this area, really needs. And this is not the first time when we work together with Ukrainian Crisis Media Center, and our cooperation was very positive always, and we hope that we will continue to work together with you in the future. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, my name is Krut Anton. I am project manager of UCMC Overcoming the Information Blockade on the territories temporarily outside of the control of Ukrainian government. And I'd like to show some slides overcoming international blockades at temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. And Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Germany is one of our partners, and we are very grateful. Next slide, please. The project is done in partnership, cooperation of 3 organizations: Ukraine Crisis Media Center, Media Pogled, NGO, and Vchasna UA website. Journalists from Donetsk region. They're very well experienced, and they have their own civil position, and they don't compromise their ethics and conscience. And AntiCrisis Media Center in Kramatorsk, you can see her at press conferences when she reports directly from Kramatorsk. So these are very well-known people, and our friends and partners. In August, we had 8 issues of the newspaper. Officially, this is informational page, and the total print is 120,000 copies. You can see, and I want to tell you that the target audience are citizens of occupied territories of Donetsk and Lugansk region. The number of people, 3.5 million. Of course, it's hard to reach this target audience in conditions of occupation. So we decided to distribute the newspaper in compact residential areas or areas of entrance or leaving Ukraine. Today, it's 13 villages and towns, Bugas near Volnovakha and Zaitsevo-Mayorsk in Artyomovsk area. And there is a list, and you can see that on presentation. Next slide, please. How does distribution happen? Volunteers together with ATO headquarters leaders have allowed us to give out these papers to people. We never had a scandal or return. People take 100% of our new papers, and then they ask for more. Topical composition. We had more than 110 original materials and text in the paper. But topically, we try to focus on 2 components to make sure that people would not lose informational field in Ukraine, because propaganda in that territory is such that people not really know what is happening here. And the second component is information that will help people survive, help them get help to complete their paperwork and to survive physically and mentally. You can see percentual relations in topics, and one of these focuses relates to the fate of IDPs, successful adaptation stories, and advice of psychologists how to overcome stress, aimed at people who have survived the war and the military activity. Next slide, please. That's it. Thank you. That's a brief summary of our work. Preliminary summaries, because the project keeps working. We keep the tempo. In the current months, Lugansk region will join us, and we will keep expanding the area of our coverage. Now I'll invite the editor-in-chief and the leader of Media Pogled, Maria Davydenko, and Tetyana Brodnikova, who is coordinator of our distribution, and they will tell you a little more about how this is happening on the field. Hello, my name is Maria Davydenko. I am the chairman of Media Pogled NGO. Thank you very much. Thank you for having this wonderful idea to create such a paper. Why? Because as a journalist, I live in 60 kilometers range of the line of front, the ATO zone. And there at the front line we know how life is. In fact, we don't have independent media on our territory because all newspapers and channels are submitted to some politicians or certain business structures. This project is independent, and that is joy for journalists, because you know how important it is to work freely, independently, and to feel sure of our work. So thank you very much. Thank you, Ukrainian Crisis Media Center. Thank you, everyone who invested into this project. What's the uniqueness of our project? First of all, it's in fact that people who work there and live there, and we go to villages that are located together with Pesky. We went to Первомайsk just recently, and what we hear there, suggestions of people who live in those difficult conditions, we try to reflect in the paper. All the suggestions of people who live in ATO are considered in every edition. We come to a certain village and we see that humanitarian aid is not enough. We try to give more information on where the person can receive humanitarian aid. We give addresses of volunteer organizations, we give phone numbers, we give names of those volunteers, so the person receives direct connection with Ukraine, because these people are taken away, are separated from us, and we need peace. We need to stop this war. We need to start restoring our villages and towns. So we hope that this project will continue. Maybe with time, our team is quite creative and initiative, and we would be able to expand this project, because every day new answers come out, and we want to explain and to bring them to people who live in ATO area. So again, thank you very much for this project, and we hope that this project as independent media will continue working in Donbass. Brodnikova Tetyana, AntiCrisis Media Center. We try to bring these papers as close as possible. We brought it even to zero roadblock. Then it's dangerous to travel, because it's Bulgas is already danger zones. We try to get it as close as possible to occupied territory. We try to go through all villages that are deeper and remote from centers, some villages that have this problem. There is a lot of propaganda coming from the other side and very little information from our side. So in these villages, small villages, some are watching TV that comes from Russia, and our information is very little. So this is very good advantage of our newspaper, that everyone who comes to pick it up are happy to receive. We don't have unused newspapers. Many people ask for more, some additional information to be published, to have information that would help them move to this territory, solve some social problems, get access to some social services. So we try, we achieve. Thank you very much for the opportunity to reach some of that territory, because in fact the whole Donetsk and Lugansk region are the regions that were under influence of Russia for a long time. Even freed territory needs Ukrainian information, needs support of our spirit and our patriotism. Thank you very much. And our next speaker, please. That's it. Then thank you very much for your presentations. If there are questions or clarifications from journalists, please. Ukrainian Crisis Media Center, Anastasia. Please tell us if there are first responses from the readers of the paper. What are the moods of people, and have you faced certain opposition in distribution of the papers? Because you said you reached even 0 roadblocks. Did you have any objections or opposition? No opposition. People, when they see the name Peace in Donbass, they react very well. We had even idea to expand it, to make the work wider. There is no objection. People really are scared, and they receive every piece of information. Information is given in a way to be gentle and kind, not to hurt people. In fact, there were certain comments to give more stories about Ukraine. And people ask that we write together about East and West, not to separate us. We never got negative reaction, just positive. I'll add, in our texts, we intentionally avoid terms like separatists and others. We try to be more calm. We understand that people have different views, different opinions. We all have difficult situation. If we use strict propaganda today, they will not have peace in Donbass. Everything is built to be peaceful, adequate, respectful to each other, to submit information, to be able to hear the other side and be ready to help the other side. So this is most important thing in our work, defining part in our work. So I don't think this newspaper should irritate anyone. We show that we are open. We show that Ukraine is willing to provide this assistance and that assistance, humanities and everything. We have a lot of information and materials about visits of international missions. We have many materials about United Nations campaigns. We give information that this kind of money is given towards rebuilding certain destroyed houses, money to help children, and other things. We want people to understand that Ukraine is not forgotten. There is help given. All together we try to restore our country, and so thanks to peaceful provision of information without offense, without pulling the blanket, the paper is received well everywhere on Ukrainian territories and occupied territories. Sergei Wanachuk, Ukrainian Crisis Media Center. I'd like to welcome my colleague Anton Krut and congratulate them on this achievement. I remember the beginning of this project, its birth, and how he cared for it and supported it, and now congratulations on this victory. My question is not about the paper, but do you have plans to create radio for Donbass? Radio for New Donbass. Radio that would have information, analytical review, everything you do, but just in audio format. Thank you for the question. In fact, as far as I know, public radio is making their own broadcast for Donbass, and the question is, how is it broadcast? So the question is whether we can allow them those radios to be radio programs to be broadcast in supermarkets, banks, and other places of mass gatherings of people. More questions? No question? Then we'll conclude our day. There is another question. My name is Krzysztof. I'm working with News. This is not a paper so much as NPO leaflet. Do you have plans to register your paper as paper officially? And second question, what plans are for the future, for the next year? Do you have specific plans and financing? If no, what are the plans to find money for the future of this paper? Registration takes time in our country, so we're still in process of registration. So we had to produce the result, and we are in the status that we have today. Talking about continuation of the project, until December we are provided for. Then we'll do fundraising. We'll look for grants. But registration is in the process. Yes, we are thinking about this. More questions? Then we'll thank our speakers and we'll conclude our working day. We'll wait for you tomorrow. Thank you.